Hey guys, Daisan here. Today I'm bringing you the Overlord 2021 New Year's event, Shiromochi's Return. So Shiromochi's Return is just like a standard event. You can clear all of it to get about 300-ish Chaos Stones. It has a very difficult undead in the sense that the undead just kind of works around you having aim or you don't. So the enemies are always naturally harder to hit. They'll debuff your hit stat. So like ideally, you can slap on some hit relics or hit buffers and make yourself have a much easier time to clear it. And once you do, you get the same 10,000 medals as you always do. Besides that, the shop has two of the old New Year's relic and the new New Year's relic, Kurata with the twins. Besides that, they have heart and intelligence materials. They have two tiers of it, so you can get tier 3 and 4 of the materials and 5 at two different price costs. So that means you can buy them cheaply the first time, and if you do need more, then you can just grind the event more, get more medals, and then you'll be able to redeem them a second time at a slightly higher increased cost. Besides that, nothing too different than the events we have previously gotten. I would have to say though, the undead was kind of a pain, but it's still very doable. I just recommend maybe just a hit buffer or aim relics or something along those lines to give yourself a much easier time. Besides that, I'm going to talk about the New Year's units. So the first unit I'm going to talk about is the new Irons we've got. He is kind of like the last piece of the puzzle we needed to make an all Irons super team. Not so super now, since all the pieces have not really been as good as when they first came out. But we have we have a DPS Irons, like a Momon. We could have a buffer, debuffer, such as like the Bath Irons, and then we can have a tank, which is like the Gladiator Irons, and now we have the healer. But he's also mainly a buffer, so whatever. Anyways, the New Year's Irons is Heart Typing Enhancer. He has really good speed for Enhancer, 430, a bit on the high end, but not as high as some of our really fast people like Firo, who kind of top out near the max, or Clementine. Besides that, lots of HP at 9,000 for an Enhancer, that's really good. And same thing with his attack stat, which is like the average attack of a healer is about 77,600. And his defense stat is really high as well, so just like any Irons unit, he gets I'm the main character, my base stats are really freaking awesome. He has resistance against Shining and Thunder, and he's just weak to Darkness Poison, which is kind of weird, but whatever, we'll make do. His free skills are a team-wide magical defense immune stack, 1 to the entire team, and 100% defense to the party. So this acts a lot like Valentine's Shoutier's physical shield, except this is the magical version of it. 5 MP is the same cost as hers. It's pretty much about the same. His second skill is a single target heal for 3 MP for 5,850. This is actually like quite high for a 3 MP heal, because well, compared to Rem it's lower, but like overall it's like not the worst for the cost of what it is. Very comparable to Lax's heal, maybe a bit better. And then his last skill is a party buff for 50% attack, plus 2 evasion, plus 30% damage reduction for 2 turns. This is actually like a really good like AoE party defensive buff. But normally, I think we have the new Nazarick Yuri, who pretty much almost does the exact same thing, but she's like the general tank, so you wouldn't really kind of stack these together at all. But it's not bad overall. But it's good for if your tank doesn't have innate damage reduction built into them. So a lot of the older tanks that haven't got buffed yet, and the evasion is always welcome, pretty much. Especially when you are getting AoE'd and your tank can't stop that. His passive is 10% magic attack up, 25% dark element strengthen, which only really helps his overdrive. So that's kind of a shame. That's a bit of a wasted passive. Normally on an enhancer, you would want a lot more stronger defensive stats, like magic defense, physical defense up. 10% speed is always good on enhancers because you normally want them to act first. So the plus 10% speed on top of his high base speed makes him super fast. His overdrive is 300% dark type magic to one enemy with a 225% elemental rate up and 100% demon killer and 50% attack down. So this is actually like super overkill on anything weak to dark. This is one of the highest single target like elemental like typings we've ever got on an overdrive, and it's pretty insane. It kind of makes his passive not look horrible, besides the fact this is an overdrive, and he can pretty much nuke the ever loving god out of the Shiromochi raid when it was out, and then if you can get his OD up. Besides that, it's a good dark nuke. I'm not sure like how often you'll be busting this out or be running him in your team, but he's not a bad unit. It's just that he always ends up contesting with all the current irons that are out in the game. So like if you want a more like offensive buffer, then like I'd go with like the Bath irons. But like as a defensive buffer, I think he's like really nice. It's just his MP costs are like really high. So like it's hard to find a good balance as just a defensive buffer. We have people like Origami who are like single target buffers who can like manage the mana throughout like a more extended fight. Besides that, not bad of a unit, but I would pass unless you kind of want to build much more interesting teams and you have like older tanks you kind of want to repurpose for the newer content. Next unit we're going to talk about is the New Year's Albedo. Just like Ainz, she is a heart enhancer, so it's the same. She has a lot less HP, more defense, less attack, less speed. She actually gets an offensive skill, which is a free MP single target damage, which has a 56% chance to stun. She has a give gauge increase to party for 7 MP. It's a very costly skill, but this will increase the gauge generation by 200% for 2 turns. So hopefully, like the new Ainz we were talking about, he can get his OD up a lot faster. And then we can see much more like hilarious results with like people who are good at spamming the OD or have high ratios, like Enri and Judiciative, or people who can build up gauge fast, like Nabro, Christmas Nabro. Her last skill is a party buff, which is attack, defense, speed at 4 MP. Really general buff. Pretty decent overall for the stacking twice to kind of hit caps. It'd be nicer if it was free MP, but it's like not the worst. She kind of is in this awkward spot, is you are pretty much bringing her for content just to use this one skill, and then the CO is super niche, and the overdrive gauge is kind of win more, but it's a lot of mana to give up just to get that, instead of buffing your team up twice and being able to refresh the buff on the third turn. Her passives are just like Ainz, except that she has the light strengthen instead of the dark, and then her overdrive is kind of like the light version of the nuke, except that she buffs attack for herself instead of cutting it, and her shining type multiplier is not at 300, but it's only at 197, so she kind of nukes worse than Ainz, but she has the overdrive generation in her kit, so she should technically be able to access it more than he can. Same thing as Ainz. It's like a nice collectible unit. Not a bad skill, but like, would this be the make or break unit that you need to pull for? I'd say no. I think Christmas Albedo is kind of a better Albedo than this. I feel like once Nazic Albedo gets buffed, she'll be a better tank and would contest for the slot. Then we've got some other unique Albedos at the bottom who are all kind of like useful for their own niche. Like the Pajama Albedo is a very good like single target nuker. Same thing with the Slayers collab as an ice nuker. So it's kind of like they're always running into the issue of fighting over the slots for like the specific character. But if we ever get the day where we could run multiple of the same ones, I'd like to see the Ainz Dream Team. You could probably make the Albedo Dream Team as well. Moving on, we're going to look at the relics. The first relic we're going to look at is the Gacha Relic, which is New Year's Party. It gives 1 stack of Courage. Courage is the unique buff that Guts got from the Berserk collab, and it's pretty much when you drop to 0 HP, you come back alive with 1 HP. As a Gacha Relic, they had to try to make it look appealing, so it's a general stat stick relic as well. And that's 3000 HP, 800 attack, 450 defense, 147 speed. What you're looking at mainly on this relic is you'd throw this onto an enhancer, or like a healer in like desperation, like generally enhancer, so that they can act first with the bonus 147 speed. The HP is to keep them healthy and alive, and the stack of courage is generally for the worst case scenario. If they die, they come back and your healer can come pick them up again. But At this point, I'd still say running HP regen or evasion on an enhancer would be better. You could put this on generally any unit, because any unit can use the passive, and the HP stats valuable on everyone. But generally, I'd say if you were, it'd probably be an enhancer, just like the picture would kind of show, as both new use units are enhancers. Besides that, the other relic is Kurata with the twins. So this one is in the event store, and pretty much it has pretty decent offensive stats at 1600, has like almost 1000 HP, like small bit of defense, and a good 106 speed, which isn't bad. It's just that passives are plus light plus dark strengthen, and there's very few units who can kind of make the most out of this passive. So generally, you just kind of pick one and give it to a unit. It's not bad for a free relic if you need an offensive relic for like units with light and dark attacks, like base irons or something like that. It wouldn't hurt to grab one copy. If you have nothing better to do, you can grind the event and grab the rest. Besides that, I think I've gone over the majority of the event. I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and please watch my future content. Peace.